Good evening, family. Come on in. I'm Robert Strozer, Pastor New Life Changing Christians, and I want to thank you for joining us this lovely evening, or morning, or afternoon, whenever you're watching this on the replay. And we're going to jump right in, guys. If you want over on Facebook,
Yes.
please go over to our YouTube page, which is New Life Changing Christian Center Inc. And well, yeah, if you're on the Facebook page, you already know you're there, New Life Changing CC. And you can check us out on our website, which is newlifechangingcc.org. All right. If you're not a subscriber to our YouTube page, you can go over there, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be notified of new things and
Yeah.
New-
New live discussions.
broadcasts, whatever teachings that come up, you can be notified.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to jump right in. We don't have any announcements or anything.
No.
But thank you for joining. Not our Bible study. Did I say Bible study? I think I did. Our weekly discussion.
Right.
What are we having, Kathy?
Real life talk with
Mhm.
authentic discussions.
Right. So we just talking, having authentic conversations about things, life, in the word. We're not sure where it's going to go. And it's really not, we don't get together and do a lot of studying because we don't want it to be scripted and we don't want it to be so what's the word? I don't know. Mundane, just regular.
Right.
We want
'Cause we
real
regular.
real life discussions, authentic discussions, even your opinions and how you feel. And I think that's how we learn and grow on this. We've changed it from the Bible study that me and Robin used to do. So we said let's change it up a little bit. Let's have discussion, because in discussion it comes from different individuals, and when you have a discussion, you learn from one another. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And last week was a good topic, right? We talked I can't remember the topic, but I know it was good. You remember, Marcus? Oh, the generation gap.
Oh, the generation gap.
Yes.
Gosh, I've been moving so
Yeah,
fast.
do we have to
yeah.
should we bridge it? You know what I mean? And I thought that was a good topic because we had different generations on this line, and we still do. So I think it was a good topic. So tonight we're going to talk about the topic came up. You attract who you are. You attract who you are. That's an interesting topic to me because I looked at it and I was thinking about it even today. Do we attract who we are? In our circle of maybe friends, relationships that we've been in, are the people that we are in contact with, do we look at them as, are they similar to what our belief is? Are they similar to how, my attitude is towards things? Do we, or are we total opposites? And then I said, well, can't be total opposites because then it ain't gonna work too well, right? And we're gonna be combating or something. You know what I mean? Like they say opposites attract.
I was going to say that.
That's what they say.
That's what whoever they are.
Whoever they are.
Right.
But I look at even relationships, like even marriages, we are opposite on some things, right? Of course, because we grew up in two different households, but we blend together as one.
Correct.
Right?
And on most things we kind of agree.
Yeah, we do agree. But we learn from one another.
Right.
And then we look at each other's opinion or where they're coming from. And I see it your way. Oh, you see it my way, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So it's not no combating, but do we attract who we are? That's a good question. And like I said, I was thinking about it, and even in relationships, I hear a lot of people say that. I think we may have talked about this before. People say they can't find the right individual, but I'm like, are you looking at yourself? Because is it the individual or is it you? You know what I'm saying? Is the person, because they said it's always a blame. They are doing this and they're doing this, but nobody ever points the finger at themselves. Maybe it's me. Just like when you get a job, right? And every job you go to is always an issue. there's always an issue. They don't like me. They're doing this to me. This is going on. And you've changed 3, 4, 5 different companies.
And the same thing is happening.
And the same thing is happening.
It's not them.
Is that you or them?
It's you.
You know what I'm saying? Now you're meeting all these different people, but you're getting the same results. Is that you or them? So even in the relationships, like I go back to that, you're meeting different people, right? All these different people, but you're getting the same results. Is that me or is that them? So that's the question. Are we attracting who we are?
So I may flip on the other side of it from what I mean. Like I said, all kind of blends together. Everything blends together that we talk because God is so in it. But the conversation kind of came up from I was talking to our son, and we were having a conversation about him and his friends. And he was just trying, like, I don't understand why, this, and this happens to them. And I always got to just be, cussing and fussing them out, trying to get them right, set them straight. And, he was just like, it's just straight chaos. And he was just like, and all my friends are like that, and I was like, like I took a look at you like, hey, did you ever think that you attract who you are? And in that same conversation, he was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me think about that. And I love talking to Bradley because he's so real. But he was like, hold on, let me process that for a minute. He was like, because this is what he said. I do feel like I need a small piece of chaos in my life. It just keeps me grounded. And I said, no. We're not having that. I said, so then that goes back to that. I said, so that piece that you have, that chaos or that feeling that you have, that's why you attract people that always got chaos going on. I'll never forget when I said, and I ain't talking about nobody on this line, so don't y'all start tripping. But a while ago, Rob said to me, you always talking to the cuckoos, like cuckoo birds, like the women, right? I always got these women that come up to me and they be, Betty, I don't know why. And I'm like, what is that about? And he was just like, I don't know. You might want to think about that. I had to sit with myself because I then recognized Batty in my generation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in there. You understand? And I had to, like, it was a harsh reality check for myself. And it's, not that I ever, felt like, and I guess people who are kind of, or maybe we consider, oh my gosh, they're off. They probably don't think that they are. And so that could have been me. You know what I mean? That could have been me at one time. They're like, that girl Betty, I don't know what. And I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? But in checking myself, and then God working on me just over the years, I see the progression of my mind, where my mind was very chaos and my mind was very worked up and, worried and just, always frazzled. I was very tender and delicate. You couldn't say nothing to me, but it was just a lot going on. And over the years, I've noticed how God has changed that because there was something I recognized, and I was like, oh no, we got to get rid of this. Now I'm standing here today. I didn't recognize it in my family until now, you know what I'm saying? Just recently. And I'm like, whoa. And so me meeting these women, yes, I have something to give them. Yes. You know what I mean? There's a purpose I feel for me meeting these people and knowing them. And I'm please understand me, virtual world. I'm not talking about anybody. This is really about me. But in meeting these people, I realized there was a purpose in my meeting them, after a while. it was something that I could give to all of them. You know what I'm saying? To each one of them individually. There was something that I could give them, something that I left, and something that if I speak to them today and they be like, oh my gosh, Robin, I'm so glad to hear your voice. I need you in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my gosh, and thank God for that, because it had to be him. Because me and myself, I know there's nothing that I will be able to give anybody to make them feel like, oh my gosh, Robin, your voice calms me. You make me think, you make me process. So that's what I was trying to say. Like, when you're attracting who you are, like, you really need to understand who you are, be one with who you are. And that's what I was talking to our son about. Like, hey, if every last one of your friends are chaotic, then you may need to check you. And he was thrown back by that. Like, we talked about that and then we came back, got off of it, came back to it, got off, but he was like, oh man, he was like, well, what do I do? How do I get rid of that? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, you have to have the mind of Christ. Christ will line all of that up in you. And you don't have to do anything for your friends. I don't have to do nothing for my friends and these people that I know that I've come in contact with. Christ in me changed me. They see me and then they want to follow Christ, because that's really what's happening. Because you ain't following Robin. It's got to be Christ that you see in me, and you like, I'm gonna work on myself and I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? And just as I have people in my life like your mom, our apostle, I look at her as she follows Christ, I follow her. You know what I'm saying? We line up. You line up. And so that's when I say you attract. That's where I was getting the conversation about you attract who you are, because there was a harsh reality for me that, hey ma'am, I think you use a little baddie. You know what I'm saying? But through Christ, God settles me. You know what I mean? And he sent me a husband. And then even in my time when I was single, he had to settle me so that my husband could find me. You know what I'm saying? Because in that place that, I don't have another, maybe, scientific word for, and your mind being all over the place. We wouldn't have met. Because that's, what I'm saying, that's a turnoff. That would be, you can see it. It's not like it's hidden. It's very present.
Right.
And even in these women, I can see it. I could put my finger on and say, okay, you understand what I'm saying? And so when you were talking about the relationship, that's why I say everything does come full circle, because God is in it. It does make a difference in these relationships, because if you can't find, or you keep saying you can't find, or you keep finding these same kind of people, you got to take a look in the mirror at the man in the mirror, because there's something there that's very similar to that person that you keep saying, why do I keep wanting this person? Because there's something that is an agreement there. And, only God can fix that. So that's how that came about. Any other comments on that? That's a lot right there. Jesus.
No, the common denominator is what you said is yourself, right? I was actually reading a article earlier, and it was saying that when you attract people, it mirrors what's going on in the inside of you.
Oh, right? Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, so it made me think about, again, myself, as you were talking about, whether it was friendships or relationships. And I was like, oh, because it's easy to spot something in somebody else, but then now to recognize that you're, like you just said, you could spot the chaos in somebody else, because at some point you were chaotic, right? So it made me think about either, okay, God, am I attracting the people based upon where I used to be or where I currently am? And I say that because I have a friend that is very broken, but broken because of the things that they have gone through in their lives. Okay, well, I'm not broken now. You know what I mean? I'm in a place where I'm healed. And so this person being a part of my life, is it to help them because I've been through that brokenness? You understand what I'm saying? Or is it to help them get to a place of being healed because now I'm healed? So I think it's both. Like you attract who you are. It could be the things that's similar to you as well as the opposites, because there are people who I know are I'll say it like this. It was a friend that I had that the Spirit of God showed me that they were an opportunist. And I'm like, well, God, I don't feel like that's my quality. That's something that I used to do. But then I had to understand, why then am I friends with this person? So I think that we do. It's a little bit of both. You attract who you are because of what's in the inside of you, either because of something that you've gone through or you're now in. It's just a part of. Is it then this, what is it called, this feminine and masculine energy? Is that the same thing? Like you're attracting whatever that energy is from the other person?
You're attracting the energy from the other person.
You know how they
well, okay.
No, I was just saying, like, I've heard people talk about this masculine and feminine energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I am a female, of course, I have a feminine energy, and I'm supposed to attract a feminine energy. But if I am in a masculine energy, then I would attract a masculine energy. I'm asking, is that the same thing as you attracting who you are?
I don't think so. Because if you, well, as far as a female, yeah, you would attract another female. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But masculinity is attracted to femininity.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
That's different.
That's good.
Than, the chaotic, as you were speaking of earlier. You know what I'm saying? If as a man, right? So the attraction from the opposite sex, yeah, would be a feminine. You know what I'm saying? Because masculine energy.
Right.
But far as just friendship and relationship, no, I don't. I think that's more appealing, for a male, to, if I'm wording it right, to be attracted to a more feminine female. You know what I mean? And not someone that's trying to throw out their masculinity, which is you're trying to do something that's not you. You know what I mean? That's not naturally you. You know what I mean? And so that would be a conflict. Because some people, I ain't want to go down a relationship trail, but in that, of course, the masculine male is going to be turned off because you, as a female, which is supposed to be feminine, is given a lot of masculinity, and I'm like, but see, then it's misinterpreted as you're afraid, or you, as the man, I'm afraid of this strong female. Like, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. It's you're giving me, why would I be attracted to the same thing? And I want femininity. I mean, we can go further, but I don't want to do that. So that would be that would combat, because I'm like, hold up, now you too much now. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be with a man. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Right. I want to be with a female, right? You know what I mean? And that's when ladies come into their self, like what you were saying earlier. You had to see yourself and come into yourself in order to be boom. Now I'm, you know what I mean? I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm working on it, and it's getting better and better. Now the femininity is coming out. Now what's happening is you are actually being who you are,
right?
Who God said you are.
Yes.
Right. and you're killing all that other stuff that has been put on you from past, from family, from trauma, all that stuff that you've been holding on to, right? So now you have released it. Now you can be your natural self, right? And that's a lot for us, and men, we do the same thing. We have to take off that trauma in order for us to be ourselves, so we can see the true femininity, you know what I'm saying? The true female, and understand it more. And that's the attraction. But if I stay in my hurt stage and my trauma and all that, I can't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that goes back to what you're attracting. If I stay in hurt, trauma, pain, and I stay in that, then what I'm a brain?
Hurt, trauma, and pain.
Right. So now I'm gonna be.
That's a fact.
Now I'm gonna connect with females that are hurt, trauma, pain. Now we combating constantly. You know what I mean? Because I live that, so that becomes my normalcy. So that looks good to me. That's familiar. You know what I mean? It's a familiar situation there. So I like that. That person is hurt. Everybody else sees they hurt. You don't see that hurt because you hurt. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
You don't see their pain or their insecurities because you got 50 million insecurities, right? Some people may disagree with me on that, but that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? You see that.
No, that's a fact, because I mean, I can speak so, 10 toes on it, because I know that I went through that. And then another thing that can be attached to that is when you aren't sure of who you are, you know what I'm saying, and those things, then when others you meet come up to you and they have these familiar things, now you may not have anxiety. You got some other stuff, but now you got anxiety because you done picked up that, you know what I'm saying, from that person, because because you're not really knowing and understanding yourself. You understand what I'm saying? And so I'm like, where's this coming from? Like, I didn't used to have this, but I've now picked it up from someone that I've met, or, I'm hanging around or in the presence of, because I wasn't sure of who I was.
Right.
And because I had so much other stuff that was put on me, that I took, you know what I mean, from others that made me be this or said I should be that. And, and it meant so, like we talked about this too on here. Being what somebody else wanted us to be, the family or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? You already dealing with that. And then now when you're meeting people, now they coming, you think you trying to help, but you done picked up their stuff. Now, you know what I mean? Now you got that. And so, I mean, it's like Rob said, this can go so far. It really can. It's, oh my goodness, can go into a rabbit hole with what's going on in the world today. You understand? And relationships and everything. It can go straight across. But yeah, I you as a feminine meeting a feminine person, a feminine man, is because the others, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all mixed up and twisted.
Well, that could go. That can
go so many different places. But but just to answer your question, I don't know if it's that. But I mean, if a man coming to a woman and she's giving too much energy and giving all that, rough, like you need me, you know what I'm saying? You got it, you know what I mean? Right. But then they call him insecure and some other stuff, but that's not so. Like, we need to be able to be feminine and in our place, you know what I mean? But you have to understand you like, that's the harsh part. It all comes back to, I mean, every single conversation that we had, it comes back to self.
Yes,
oh my goodness. Yeah. Marky,
maybe think about the lab. Pastor Ross said, go in the lab. And
go in that lab. Yes.
Go in the lab and work on yourself. So yeah.
It's funny. So I read a book this year It was called Reflections, right? And it's by a phenomenal author, phenomenal
Mhm.
writer, great dude. I met him, right? And in the book, it talks, it's a walk through reflecting on self, right? And through the journey of reading it, yeah, I learned that we truly have a lot of stuff we carry with us, right? And unless we sit there and actually address it and figure out what it is, people gonna pull on it. They pull to it. What it says, oh, I almost said a bad word. Toxicity begets toxicity. Dumb begets dumb, right? It happens because we have so much we carry from childhood, where our parents taught us stuff we picked up along the way. Like, I remember growing up, I had a group of friends who were you have to try to be polite with stuff sometimes, but they were all over the place. As Rob, they were wilding out, right? But I was there. I was with it, right? And I was like, why am I with these people? We doing stuff that I know my mom would tear my tail up. I come back home and say I'm doing this, but I was with them, right? And as I'm older now, and I sit and I see why I was, right. My brother was chaotic. He was wilding out. I was with him a lot, right. I was pulling stuff from him, and I was holding on to that stuff. And my friend group was attaching to that there. But as I got older, I'm like, okay, how am I sitting down with people, whether it's with friendships, intimate relationships, whatever it may be? You know what I'm saying? And as an adult, I see now that yes, I attract what I put out there. If I want chaos, I'm gonna get chaos. Even in my marriage, if I want dysfunction, I'm gonna get dysfunction. If I put that in the forefront, that's what I'm gonna get, right? If I want stability, that's what I'm gonna get. If I want love, that's what I'm gonna get. But I have to emulate that first, right? And I do believe that very often, right? I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings. I don't care. Some men put out feminine energy, right? Because they want that back, right? And and it's really interesting because you see it a lot, right? I ain't dogging nobody, but if the shoe fit, wear it proudly, right? That's what they know, so that's what they get back every time. Whether that's how they live it, or that's just what they've been around for so long. But even in the other aspect of it all, right? A man will put out heavy masculine energy and pull that other stuff into, right? Whether they're lacking it or that's what they just attracted to, right? That's my opinion. I could be wrong, right? If anybody out the YouTube, Facebook land, forgive me. Don't come on my social media page trying to cancel me. But that's just what we see in the culture today, right? Because it's put
Mhm.
out there, and the world says be this to get this all the time. Like let's say you have a millionaire mindset. What happens? You become a millionaire, right? Or if you have the I can't mentality, then you won't, right? That's why even as a writer, I try to stay away from certain words. I use them on a daily basis in my regular talk, but if I'm writing about it, I don't use the words but at all because it cancels out, right? So if I'm saying to you, I'll do this but, then everything I do is going to be a but behind that thing. I'm putting that out there, putting that. That's what's going to come back to me, right? It may not make sense to somebody, but in my head right now, it's clicking. It's lining up like crazy because e- every day we see it. Though we put out so much energy into this world, right? And wonder why we walking through so much hell. Because that's what you're putting out there. You're allowing it to be there, so you're gonna get it right back, and you get it back. What they say, tenfold, right? And then you sit and looking stuck on stupid, like what? What? Why am I? Why am my hair falling out?
Mm,
Right? Why my household out of order? Why my bank account isn't a double negative? Right? Because you keep saying you broke.
mm,
You're attracting brokenness now, right? Now, forgive me, but there are zeros in my bank account, right? I'm gonna leave it at that, right? There are a lot of zeros there in my mind, right? A lot of commas there. Ain't no decimal, ain't no this. They can't even hold it in my banking institution. That's how much I'm putting out there. I'm attracting it because I know that's what I'm worth, right? Even in my marriage, we do our best to make sure that we put love first because that's what we want back. No matter how much chaos we may go through on that day to day, it's love always have to come first. That's what we're attracted to. Attracted to love there. right? And there's been some chaos stuff in lifetime, but I do my best not to put it out because I don't want it back. I've done that before. I've sat in spaces sometimes and you see people look at each other and you're like, man, they made for each other. That's because toxicity begets toxicity, right? Y'all fighting each other for what? Ain't nothing changing. You go home fighting each other, you're in church fighting each other, in the car fighting at the grocery store. In the grocery store fighting is crazy because everybody gonna stop and look, right? It's wild, right? That's why we go to the Whole Foods now. They don't really do too much in there. but I do believe that you attract what you put out, and that's why I try to put out there now to change the mindset, to change that narrative, because I nobody wants to see that all the time, and nobody wants to deal with it or put up with it, right? It came to me, right? You put up with that all the time, you're gonna look what they say, long in the face. I don't want to see that no more, people. Change the mindset. It's especially in relationships. Change the mindset. If you don't want a toxic relationship, go back, look in that mirror, and pinpoint everything that's in your life that you've dealt with, that you still carrying on, that's toxic to you. Until you figure that out, it's going to be that same with that carousel ride. That's what carousel ride. They spin around with the horses on there. That thing. It's gonna keep coming back around, right? Every time, because that's what you keep putting out there. You're holding on to so much stuff. Again, y'all grab that book. It's a great. You learn a lot from that book. Reflections on Amazon.com, right? It's like I think it's like 20, right? I think it's like $25 like that. It's worth the read. Trust me, because it allows you to open up yourself to actually see yourself first. Because until you look at yourself, you can't master the other thing, right?
Right.
But I don't think they're ready for that conversation, Pastor. They're not ready for that because the mindset ain't changed yet. Right. The mindset ain't changed.
You got to change it.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He was talking about love. I was at someone's house today, and they were saying in that backyard. And I was telling you this, that it was an older lady, and in their backyard she had a deer. The deer gave birth in her backyard, right? Then the yard is fenced in, and the two what do you call the baby? Fawns, does? Are they does?
No, it's a fawn.
Fawns, right? They were in her backyard, and she said, "Be careful, don't go back there." And she was just in awe of it. And I saw them. She said they got the zoomies. You know how the dog. You know how dogs flying back and forth. They get excited with a little baby deer was flying back and forth, and I was like, "This is so." That's interesting. That's amazing. She was excited, and she got me excited about it because I never seen the baby deer, right? The fawns, right? Fawn, whatever. And they were spotted on their back, and it was interesting. And I was, when I got back in the truck, I was meditating, and I was like, we need a new mindset, like individuals, like people, the world. I said, why does it that we have to get into an older age to actually see beauty and to recognize it? Is it that we have settled in ourselves that now I'm going to mindset that now I'm older, all this stuff that I did, all this stuff that has transpired, it don't mean nothing. This is right here is what life is about. Right? Seeing the actual beauty. I'm not veering off topic, but listen to what I'm saying. It goes to mindset and changing who you are. Do we have to get into senior, older age to see it? Do we have to be on our deathbed to actually say, you know what you need to do? Because I've heard it so many times, people on their deathbed saying, just love. Why do we have to wait to those times to do that? And like we talking about attraction. If we stop now, change our mindsets, right? And see what's actually in front of us. Going back to what Marcus is talking about love. I'm like, well, why we can't do that? You know how much that would attract, how much the attraction will be for other individuals to come in. Now we're going to take it into the believers in God, right? In the kingdom. How come we still looking and speaking in our verbiage when we talk through mics, so we talking through whatever, it is transformed into what the world is saying and not what God is saying, because our minds have not been transformed so we can see the actual truth. That's why I'm going with it, because when I saw the little baby did, that's real life, right? That's God's creation in its natural form. No hospitals, no vet was back there giving birth to those two deers. None of that. And the mother jumps the fence, brings food, comes back and brings food to the baby. And I said, this is God, right? Why do we have to stop and wait until, like I said, we older, we're on a deathbed to appreciate what God is actually doing? I said, we need a mind change. Transformation, but his children should already have that, right? Or should be transforming into that, and stop regurgitating what the world is saying, and stop with the anger, stop with the all the agitation, the impatience, putting people down, degrading one another, telling them what they're not going to do, and calling them stupid, calling them dumb. I'm like, how we can't get that? Why do we have to wait till we get ready to die? I was listening to the radio. It's an actor. He's from Baltimore. He was on The Wire. And it was a tornado in Atlanta, I believe. And tore down his house, car. He has nothing. And his son was taken in the tornado and lifted up and thrown into the next year. You heard about it? And he was on the radio. I didn't know anything about it. And he was in ICU, crushed every bone in his face, throughout his body. He was crying on the radio and saying, none of this matters. None of this material stuff, and him trying to be an actor, trying to be this, trying to be that, trying to be a superstar. None of it matters. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? And I said, God, I thank you. And I was thanking him as I was listening to that, because God, I don't want something tragic to happen for me to realize what the truth is. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nothing. I don't want nothing devastating, tragic in my family, in my life, for my eyes to open. I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but I'm saying I don't want that to happen, for my eyes to be open. Yes, I've been through stuff, right? And things I've been through has transformed. My God, that's it. I'm not gonna be hard-headed no more, right? Because what I've been through, I don't want to go through it again. But I don't want something on that level for me to open my eyes up to see what the truth is, you know. And that goes back to what we're saying about attracting. So you will remove the toxicity, right, y'all? You kill that because you don't want that in you no more, right? You remove the anger. You remove the hurt. I don't want that no more. God died on the cross for all that, right? Jesus died on the cross for that. It's over and done. I don't want to walk with that anymore, because if I continue to walk with that, I'm going to keep that magnet of depression, that magnet of anxiety, that magnet of madness, sadness, toxicity. It's going to keep drawing that in. And once it keeps attacking you, you know, we all play with magnets. Now it's covering me and I can't see nothing. The only thing I can see is that mess, because that's all I'm communicating with is that mess. So I can never see the truth, even though I may say I want to see the truth, but then I pick up the phone because what I have attracted and what is magnet to me is, and that voice on the other end is speaking the same garbage. And all of this is keep feeding and feeding. God's children shouldn't be speaking like that. We shouldn't continue to attract the nonsense. We shouldn't attract anger, right? Because the truth, when you have the truth, when you're the truth, it's the negative. It's like the negative magnet. It'll bounce off. That all that mess. When you stand on truth, and you don't have time for foolishness, what happens? Even if it tries to come to you, what happens? It'll turn around and go back. I can't do that around them. I can't. Nope, I can't do that around them. I used to be in the office at work. They was like, "Oh, bro, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cuss like that." And I'm like, I ain't saying nothing. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no control over your speech. But it was the respect, because I don't do foolishness. You understand what I'm saying? So now the foolishness got to go back over there in that corner. Yeah, y'all can talk and whisper in that corner. I don't want to be a part of that because that's
Mm-hmm.
not me. You know what I'm saying? I don't get caught up in the gossip and talking and all that
Mm-hmm.
that sideshow, and I'm not in no clique. So I'm saying all this to say that
Mm-hmm.
God's children we shouldn't be attracting that.
Right.
God's children are going to attract the ones that want to seek that want the truth. You know what I'm saying? I want the truth. Kathy, you walking in something different.
Mm-hmm.
How you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You walking in something different. How you do that, Miss Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on in your life? You know what I'm saying? Mr. Marcus, you're a sharp dude.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't wrote a book, you didn't did this, and you married and you still going, man.
Mm-hmm.
How you do that? Because I'm tired of this mess over here.
Yep.
And I want to be, you know what I mean? How do you do that? How can I be a part of that? Just like women coming to you
Mm-hmm.
and just want to sit and talk. Like, how did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you seem you're a person, you're a regular person, you're a
Right.
human being, you're a regular
Right.
person.
Right.
How did you do it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk to the celebrities on TV.
Right.
I don't want to talk to the one on the podcast, right? I don't want to talk to all that. I want to talk to a real person
Mm-hmm.
that's he in the real world
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with real life stuff. Why you seem so happy?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we should be attracting.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
God's children should be attracting, arguing, gossiping,
They should not.
fighting. You know what I mean? All that mess. Like, no.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead with that. And that's not putting anyone down.
No.
That's not saying you better than.
No.
That's just you're a child of God's. You attracting the ones that are looking for something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's looking for truth. That's looking for a word that's going to get them. I need something. What you got?
Mm-hmm.
This lady I was talking to, Kathy always asks, "You got some stories at work?" I got talking to this lady. She was preparing for her son's graduation. Beautiful home, big as a block, right? High-end cars in the 4-car garage, from one garage door
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the lift that's lifting the Porsches and the Ferrari in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't got no worry in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Got a full LA Fitness in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She was stressed. She said, Robert. I said, look, you only got these hours in a day. You only can do what you can do in this day,
Mm-hmm.
right? The rest is for tomorrow, right? So don't worry about that. And this is a white lady.
Mm-hmm.
She was really crashing out right in front of me. And I realized, like, oh shoot, she crashing out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you only can do what you can do. So the rest of that, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Her stove went out. She has an 8-burner stove, right? All the burners went out, right? Right. You say, wow. So she can't cook till the graduation coming. This happened in the house. This break. And she was calling the man, you know what I'm saying, the guys to come out. She was on the phone while she was standing there with me. And she said, I know you heard I'm doing a graduation. I'm this, that. And I told her I was standing in the garage, and I said, you only can do so much. Just do what you can today, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
She said, Robert, thank you so much. I needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And she went back in the house. I said, that's what she said. She said, in actuality, Robert, I have no complaints. You know what I'm saying? My life is good. I have no complaints, but I thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, isn't that something? And I was like, actually, her husband, can I borrow that for Robert? But anyways, God no. What I thought in that, see, that's what God's children are for.
Yep.
Some may look at that as they higher than me. No, that's a human being.
That's right.
I don't know. The business that her husband does. Okay, he makes good money to afford all this type of stuff. But I'm talking to the person.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
God's children talks to the person, not the material item.
Right.
You don't care. That was an individual that was crashing out in front of me.
Right.
And she was going back and forth, and she was just, you know what I mean? Went into almost like a hysterical, whatever. but losing it, I said, "Oh shoot, this white lady losing," right? So just by saying that, I was like, "Thank you, God, for me saying that." And then we went on, and even her mother was there. So I just thought that was so cool because I said, God, it's not the items or what they have in their bank account. It's about you touching the person that's in front of you. You understand what I'm saying? And you change that whole situation. So do we attract who we are? Yeah. If you nonsense, you're gonna attract nonsense. You know what I'm saying? If
it's a fact.
If you wild out, you're gonna attract wild out, right?
Yep.
Because a calm and a wild out don't work together, right?
Nope.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
But God's children, like I said, we should not be attracting the chaos in the world.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying?
And that's what like Bradley and I's final conversation about it was when he was like, "What else to do?" I'm like, you have the mind of Christ, and you get you. I said, God's going to change you, and then your friends you'll see will fade away. And it may mean that you stand by yourself, but that's okay too. You know what I mean? Because it's important that Bradley know who Bradley is more than you having friends. That's the most important thing. And you have to be able to understand who you are. And then once you figure out who you are, then your whole circle of friends will change. And he was like, that's going to be hard. I said, no, it's not, because you're not doing a thing. You're not doing nothing because he's, thinking, oh my goodness, they're not going to like me. They're going to think I'm being bougie. Hard part when
you lose the friend.
That is hard. Yeah. And I said, it won't be like you've done anything to them. Yeah. It's just going to fade. Now that's, you got to figure out, and be okay with the fade and you staying alone. You know what I mean? For a minute. I said, but that is a piece. And I remember going through that as well. I shared my experience with him. Lost all my friends, family too. You know what I mean? And you got to be okay with that, because if they're not in a place where they can allow Bradley to be Bradley, and I said, if you're always in a position of giving and you always trying to help them line their mind up and you always trying to make them see something and calm them down, who you looking to? You know what I'm saying? Who is Bradley checking with to get this information? And he was just like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, see, that's the problem. You know what I mean? You got to get you and God together, because that's where you pull your knowledge, understanding, and everything from for you. And you got to know you're not here for nobody else. That's another thing. That's a whole nother subject. When you're not here to save nobody. I had to get that. Because Rob used to tell me that all the time. You can't do it. You can't do it. You cannot save everybody. You can't. Everybody not going where you going. And you got to be okay with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's a thing. Oh, man.
I think, see, you just dropped 7 gems just then, right? 1, it's okay to be alone, right? 2, line yourself up, right? And other ones are going back to being alone. When you're okay with that, nothing else matters, right? And it's at a space, you get to a space where you don't even realize they fade away. You start walking.
Yeah.
Right? Those friends I mentioned back then, I'm only in contact with 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
2 of them and their families. We fade, and we respectfully, we go our separate ways. Yeah, I can't find a word. We go our separate ways, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You live your life. And I love that you're doing whatever you're doing over there. But stay your tail over there. Don't bring that mess back over here. And my core friends don't understand that. We talk once in a blue moon. Like right now, we literally communicate through sending reels to each other back and forth. That's how we know we're good, right? When the reels stop coming that week, I'm gonna call. What's going on? You all right? Where we at? You need something? Like right now, there's 4 unread reels in my inbox right now. I bet you said 2 more by the time I get off. By the time I take the do not disturb off my iPad, they're gonna pop up, right? But we in that alignment there, right? Bradley gonna be all right. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because he got y'all, right? Somebody to sit with and allow you guys to point to him, and vice
Mhm.
versa. When you're always pointing at somebody else, that thing that make you want
That's
to
what I was
cuss,
trying to tell him. That's good.
right?
Yeah.
Right? And as long as he allows it, as long as he attracts that, that's what it's going to be, right? And
Draining,
and
right?
but so we know who he is. So we're gonna use him as an example. Now, if he not Brandon, listen, I know you're in this somewhere, right? But when he because we know who he is, we know where he's going. All them jokers, when you call them jokers, they're not going with him, and it's okay. Because when he gets to
Mhm.
that space, he's supposed to be in the designated space. Those two, they're gonna flock to him, right? Because he emulates so much, not just because he's tall or whatever, but it's so much in that boy. It's crazy. I remember when I first met him, right? He used to make fun of my bow tie, right? Look at him now, right? Even Jeremiah, Jeremiah dogged my bow tie back then. They had the audacity. I said, really, bro? Now you
And
want
then
me
turn
bow tie
around and
now,
copped it.
right?
Right.
This we doing right, but they saw something, right?
Yeah.
They understood
Yeah.
what it was.
Yep.
That trust, let them jokers go,
Mhm.
because as long as they pull from you, they're gonna keep pulling from you, and they're gonna bring somebody else to the table. They're gonna pull from you.
They
And
leeching.
quiet as
They leeching.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
and
Mhm.
quiet as
Mm.
cat, they ain't friends
No,
at all,
nope. They
at
leeches.
all. Yeah,
And they
I'm gonna use
know,
another
and
word, but I want to cut.
Oh yeah.
but they. What's interesting is they know who you are
Oh gosh.
more than
Yes,
you
I
know
said
who
that
you
too.
are,
Yep.
and that's why
Yep.
they sit around you to drain you and pull you down to where they're at because they see you greater than, right?
Mhm.
So, and they're not
Mhm.
friends. No, that's not. We use the term friend,
Mhm.
but true
Mhm.
friend
Yeah.
Don't
knows
do
and
that.
will not
Right.
do that to you and suck you dry. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Will
Yes.
will pull all of that out of you, and they want you to stay where they're at. They want you to they want to bring you down, and that's draining,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So that goes back to what you guys are saying. You got to stand alone because
Yep.
they'll suck you, right? They'll
Yep.
suck, Paul.
Oh.
They'll suck, they'll they'll suck the life out of you because they they just drain it.
All
They
right.
drain it.
Drain you. They drain you.
They
Yeah.
drain you. There you go. And it causes you to fall. It
Right.
causes you to get stressed. It causes you all
No,
that,
that's a
all that.
fact.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
fact.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
we got to,
Mm.
but you got to recognize it.
Mhm.
you got
Family
to.
does it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Family know who you are, and they,
Yep.
man, they'll pull you down too, right?
Mhm.
Will.
I got
Yeah.
7 cousins on the block list on my phone right now. Right. I'm in a group chat that they don't even know I blocked.
Mhm.
Right. Because toxicity, it gets. I don't have the bandwidth for it anymore. I'm tired of gray. I got enough gray hair already for genetics. I don't need no more stress out for these fools over there.
Mhm.
You know, I don't want to have to be in a space where I'm skin and bones because y'all pulling from me so much. You know, I'm blocked the messages today, and I went through some of the messages they were talking about. Sometimes family stuff come up you need to know about. It was the same stuff over and over again. Where we going? You want drinks? You want this? Not how y'all doing? Let's support
Mhm.
this. Let's support that. Ain't none of that there, right?
Mhm.
Then, right? There's 2 more group chats with a few cousins out of it. Same cousin group. You talking about the ones over there that's over here. No, I'm sorry. I can't do that no more.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So instead of attracting it, right, I reject it
Mhm.
because it's not gonna work no more. You ain't gonna leech
Mhm.
off my peace and my joy to make you feel better about your life.
Amen.
It's not gonna happen,
Right.
Mhm.
you know. And I,
Yeah.
I'll even with Brad, even when he's a Mister, he bigger than me, y'all. Even Mister Bradley, right? It's same thing, right? And it's interesting because I had a Sheila moment in my head when you were talking about it because I remember last time I saw him, I asked him how was he doing, and he was like, And then that same day he's gonna hang out with them friends in the kickback, right? The to me said a lot, right?
Mhm.
Because you're going to your friends, you're gonna be excited. But the was like, I don't really want to go. I'm gonna go because we supposed to be friends.
Mhm.
Nah, we gonna cut that out right there. because you cannot keep pulling from somebody
Mm-hmm.
and expecting that to be a light. What's the thing? When planes refill in the air, right? The tankers, you got to hook up to the hose and you pull it from it right there. And I think you got to land and refuel, right? Every time they pull it from you, got to land and refuel. And then he land the job, right? That's crazy, right? But we do because we do that as people, right? We attract all stuff here, but we got to go somewhere to refuel ourselves. Why?
Yeah.
Why can't we refuel each other? Why can't I pour you to your cup and you pour into mine? Right? Why can't we sit together and pray about something, right? And align this way here spiritually, right, with the Creator, who we're supposed to be yoked up with here. But instead, I got to fight with you.
Right. And we learn from each other. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I told him too. Yeah, you should be learning from each other. Yeah. If you the sharpest knife in that drawer, then you need another drawer.
Amazon to order a new set.
Right.
I got one shop right now. At a mask for $25.99 on TikTok shop. Buy you some new masks and call it a day.
Right.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, family. Good conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Drop them folks off.
Drop them off.
Point at yourself. Line yourself up.
Look in the mirror.
Yep, line yourself up and stop the food. That's basically it. You got to point at yourself. And I say it like that because that's what I had to say.
Right.
Enough
You
is
just
enough.
gotta do
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to get myself together. This road is not going down. It's bumpy. I'm tired. You know what I mean? You got to get to a point where you're tired. You got to say, okay, that's enough. Right.
That's a fact. That's true.
Enough is enough. And I'm not doing this no more. Right? I need to be obedient to the Most High and just stop. Amen. Thank you, family.
Great conversation.
Yes. What is it, Kathy? Authentic conversation?
We can't never remember.
Real life talk with authentic discussions.
Okay. I'm gonna have to put that on a banner or something.
Right. Awesome. Thank you, family. Thank you. And we will see you guys, God willing, next Wednesday? Yes.
Next Wednesday at 8:15.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. You have a great rest of the week. Right? We'll see you next week.